Yeah, thank you, Vin, for staying with us. A wonderful Monday morning. Very wonderful Monday morning here. The 27th day in the month of July 2020. And for those of our Muslim brothers preparing or actually getting set for the Salah here, I think it's today's day 6th in the month of Dhul Hijjah 1441 after Hijrah. And all of these are pointing to the fact that the guys, the day of sacrifice, that's Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Kabir, is just by the Quran. Many persons are going to be celebrating from a Muslim, Alasan Bala and several others here. But talking aviation here, the federal government has reopened 12 more international, 12 more airports. Let me use the word 12 more airports here, and these airports are. These airports are Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. I have the Port Harcourt International Airport, the Sam Mbakwe Airport, Owerri Mbakwe Airport, Owerri, Maiduguri Airport, Victor Atta Airport, Uyo, Kaduna, and Yola Airports. Other airports are Margaret Ekpo International Airport, Calabar, Sultan Abubakar Airport, Sokoto, Birnin Kebbi Airport, Yakubu Gowon Airport, and the Benin Airport here. So we're going to, the system is already picking up now gradually, and we're going to be seeing more of flight this period, particularly the ones that are bound north, somewhat south, east, and west here. The airports are going to get busy. Basically, the very busy airports will remain Abuja and Lagos, for where many persons will be traveling home for the Salah break here. So we're going to see so much aviation activities going on now. But now, let's start to look at all of this, what this portends here, opening of more airports, as well as what the total health protocols for the aviation sector means. I followed the social media chat yesterday and just stumbled somewhere with two pilots with their face masks on, and some guy said, hey, when I go come out mask, Mona breathe well. You know, we have all of this conversation here, and many persons not knowing what the health protocols are. Since the easing of the lockdown, I have not been able to fly. So likely, when I get to the airport, if GODDY don't guide me properly, I will do more of looking and become more of Johnny Just Come. You know, we had that in the 70s and 80s when they call you JJC, Johnny Just Come. You get to the airport, you have to study everything because everything seems to have changed now greatly. When you just go to airport, just roll your bag, just go to somewhere, stand behind somebody, go to the counter, pick up your boarding pass, check in your luggage, hold the other one in your hand, call family members, do your check-in and sit down, start to chat until when you hear that passengers are traveling to this, can please proceed for boarding, you just go in. It was just a free-for-all. But now I've not been able to travel, so I will do more of listening today and as well as looking. And largely, many other persons have not traveled. Okay, we have someone with us, you know him very well, very popular face, who had come to love this very delicate sector. Delicate in the sense that I got some friends who don't fly. They try not to fly. The flight phobia is so high. Although I got phobia of takeoff and landing, particularly phobia of takeoff, I won't lie. But some friends don't fly at all officially. These are big, I mean, very big directors in some ministries. They try not to fly. They try not to. When they want to fly, they look for every means to go by road. If they have to fly, they will be on drugs to sleep, or they have to cover their eyes and somewhat go with the Islamic bead, some with rosary, some with the Bible. Should they go through that part here? It was our guys here. Okay, let's quickly. Mr. Godwin N. Ike is in the studio with me here this morning. He is one who I'd love that, but would love if we can have the other one we used to have before, his contact, because he resolved that this program will not just be a monologue or an intra-studio dialogue where the two of us just talk and everything is goodbye and we go, but the need for conversation where other persons can meet him, he can actually discuss, because no matter what it is here, someone to have a one-on-one contact with him. But as we go on in the course of the program, we'll be having that being flashed from time to time. You're welcome again to our studio.
Oh, thank you, my brother. How are you there?
We thank God we're very fine here. How was the weekend? The rains are coming very much now. Someone said it's very good. Some say it's very cold. Some mothers said this time that the children will likely be coming out with malaria and typhoid. So, you know, women have their own pharmacies everywhere that they need to actually take care of the kids and all of that. Welcome to the studio here.
Yeah. My dear viewers, please welcome to the program.
Yeah, we're having more airports reopening now. Before I go to the health protocols now, well, some are saying we should have waited a little while to look at how Lagos and Abuja would fare before we now start to look at how to open other airports here. But 12 more are on board now. What do you think this portends for the aviation sector in Nigeria?
Oh, well, more activities, but what needs to be seen is the response of air customers.
Okay.
Those who will be flying from one part of the country and the other, and the economics of the volume that the airlines are able to do, to the new airports that have been opened. Unfortunately, I must say I'm quite jealous that the one that is closer to me, that's the Enugu airport, hasn't made it yet. I'm sure work is really going on to have the best put in there in order to handle both the international and the local flights. Right. So we'll continue to remain patient and until it happens. So coming back to your question.
Because some are saying we ought to have gone far with Lagos Abuja, perfected whatever is there before we now look at other airports.
It wouldn't have made much difference because the protocols are all the same. COVID-19 is what everyone is watching and what everyone is respecting and what everyone is working to defeat. You don't want to have passengers come through the airports and contact coronavirus. So it's the whole essence of all the health protocols have been put in place. But more importantly, or I think it's better to say equally important, is the fact that airlines need to have enough volume of passengers to make all the flights to these other airports meaningful. At the moment, I see a situation where they either fly at a loss or choose to make the flights ad hoc rather than
But they can have reduced flight.
Well,
if you have reduced flight,
if a booking, for instance, if you have a booking of just 50% of the plane capacity, for a particular scheduled time, yeah. I'll tell you what, whether you go with a full or empty plane, the cost of making that flight is constant. It's the same for the airline. The fuel you burn, the crew you pay, the other charges that you pay, each time you land and take off, all those costs put together, they are known and they are constant and they will always be there. Now, if you don't have enough passengers to make that trip profitably, you will just be running at a loss, and it's not good for anyone, not even for the passengers, because I keep making this very clear to anyone that listens. If airlines do not make money, they begin to cut corners. Airplanes are like little babies. They need to be taken care of on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, if you park an airplane for 24 hours, after then, line technicians will stand by to continue to nurture the airplane exactly the way you do to newborn babies in a home.
Okay.
That is how airplanes are, and that's what guarantees the airworthiness of the airplanes. And if they are not airworthy, get ready. They're going to fall off the skies and slaughter people. They are faithful machines, but human operators must match their faithfulness in order to get service from these machines.
And so what I'm saying is, in the advent of like what they do in OPEC, if you carry all your crude to the market and you're selling, you're going to sell for a cheaper price. Now, why don't you limit your production capacity by saying if some airline want to do 4 flights a day, they can do 2 flights a day. So that in those 2 flights, you can have full booking. But most times you find out that the plane want to really do some rush. Then some want to do some connecting flights. A plane, for instance, going to Bauchi, we want to carry, will be the same flight that will go to Bauchi, go to Gombe, and maybe go to Maiduguri. And the plane will just had to stop around, drop some we board and all of that. Can we be able to find
the idea of actually, picking up people that will be dropped along the line is the same idea of actually having the full capacity of the airplane. And if you notice, the fare you pay for those other drop-offs usually will be exactly the same as the furthermost trip. For instance, if you're doing Gombe, Bauchi, and then Maiduguri, Maiduguri will be the furthest place if you are traveling either from Lagos or from Abuja. But you notice that even those that are dropping off along the line are paying exactly the same fare as the furthest point the plane will eventually terminate that flight. So the important thing, Arthur, is the economics of the flight you're making. Is it being made profitably? It's important, and we must get this straight and right. If airlines do not earn money, the only chance, or rather business they have, is to begin to cut corners. When checks are due and they don't have enough money, they take a little more time, say, okay, we know that these checks are due, but we can do with a few more days of flight, so that we'll see if we can get some more cash to get this job done. In the process, you are likely to run into trouble, and usually such troubles may be catastrophic. And so we have to be extremely, extremely careful and ensure that we encourage them to do these flights in such a way that they are able to sustain the business. And so I want to agree with you that rather than schedule numerous flights, it's good to limit them to 1 or 2 so that they can have the full load. But there again, I see a challenge. It may, for a start, it may not be feasible to have scheduled flight, taking place. It will be scheduled, but it may suffer some delays. That's what I mean. For instance, if an airline says to you, we are going to Maiduguri at 8 o'clock, and then they find out that in a plane that will do, depending on the size of the plane, that will do about 200 passengers, and all they've gotten is about 50 or 60. It doesn't make sense to pick up 60 passengers in a capacity of 200 and begin to head out to Maiduguri. So what's likely to happen is that they are going to tell you tales of technical issues and delays. And at the end of the day, you may end up doing an 8 o'clock flight at 10 o'clock or 11, as the case may be. 5. Well, it may be. 5. It may be.
I know I've been at Port Harcourt Airport one day for 11 o'clock flight. I left 11 midnight.
I've been
12 full hours.
I've been in Abuja here. That was a fateful, Dana Air that I eventually had to cost that flight aborted because I noticed something that was unacceptable. I've been there for a 3 o'clock flight, and we never boarded until about 7 p.m. And of course, when I noticed something was wrong, I raised alarm and everybody disembarked. 3 to 7. So these are issues. Sometimes, yes, there may be some technical issues they're battling with. Sometimes they tell you the truth, but more often than not, it's the economics of the flight. If you don't have enough passengers, you're likely to suffer some delay to see if some more passengers can come in.
Let's come in now to.
Yes.
I have not flown since the airports were opened or reopened. I don't know what it looks like, but maybe you've got an insight here. The fundamental question and worry we'll be having at is the health protocols in the airport, in the plane, appears to be more sensitive, unlike the one in the vehicle. In the vehicle, the health protocols they brought, the guidance is that people should try as much as possible to avoid using cars with air conditioner, because you are going to be staying with people in an enclosed environment. You don't even know their health status and whatever. Somebody can likely bring down the mast and somewhat sneeze, or somebody would have already sneezed within the face mask region, and when the person brings it down, it gives the virus whatever position, whatever it is here. Or somebody can even sneeze, somebody can even walk away, somebody can even touch. But in all of this here, the plane appears to be airtight. It's not the kind of one where air can go out here. You also have the one of the restroom. The restroom, which I know is one sensitive area, I tried not to go. I don't know why I tried not to go. Once you call any flight that those in this flight prepare for boarding, if I'm in that flight, the first thing I go for is the restroom. I tried not to. I don't know why, but in all local flights, I don't use the restroom. I've always been lucky about that. But international flights, even if I would do, it will be about 3 to 4 hours inside the flight, or some of them also the short range distance of Europe of 6, 7 hours. Sometimes I don't use the restroom. So I try to avoid it here. But in this case, that's one sensitive area. I don't know how they're going to manage it.
Okay, you made a comparison between the vehicles where people are advised to, wind down the glasses and not use the air conditioner. I want to tell you that the air conditioning system of cars are totally different from the air conditioning system of airplanes. Well, for the cars, you have the air coming in, but you don't have the suction part of it. Yes, granted that some sophisticated cars you can press a button that gives you an internal circulation. That is not good either. And of course, if you remove that internal circulation, then all you do is get air from the outside, which is why sometimes if you don't have the internal circulation in a car, I'm describing to you right now, you notice that if there's smoke, if there's a smoky car in front of you, you begin to perceive
it very harshly.
That's right, inside your car. But if you have only internal circulation, it blocks those air entering through the vents into the. That is a different system. For the airplane, you have the supply and the suction, and so what happens is that even if somebody sneezes, even if as you described, they have them already deposited in the face mask. If anyone really escapes, it doesn't move to you or to the passenger in front or behind. As light as, of course, these invisible viruses are, as soon as they find themselves into the space within the airplane, they're sucked away. That's what happens. And of course, because of the system and the kind of filter that they have there, there is a portion where some heating of upwards of 200 degrees Celsius.
That's very hot.
Yes, no virus will survive in that in that heat. It's done and then moved to the cooler that rapidly cools it back into very cold air and filtered, not just sending out raw air into the cabin. It's filtered, and none of those, both living and dead viruses, will pass through those filters. So I tell you, true, airplanes are built so beautifully well. There is no chance of any asymptomatic individual who gets out the virus through the nose, the mouth, or wherever. The only chance that is possible, if the airport protocol is not done, is perhaps if they already sneezed into their hands, like some people have very bad habits, and or they have also in the practice of their bad habits, have used their hands to wipe their face or their nose and their mouth, and then had those viruses, and they didn't go through the protocol of washing hands sanitizing their hands before boarding, then there is a possibility that as you do something like this, you deposit them, and an unfortunate individual in the process of passing through to get to his seat makes contact with it. He gets it, onto his hand, and then if he's one that hasn't been trained to keep away his hands from his face, he does something of
wiping again.
Some of the bad habits that you have people still practicing up to today. Then they stand a chance of taking in the virus. So at the end of the day, it's about taking responsibility. People understanding exactly what they are supposed to be doing. As for what is being set up at the airports, Arthur, I have never been as impressed as I am, with the job done at the airport. My only worry and concern at the moment is, how long are we going to sustain this? Are we going to be able to sustain this for the rest of time? Make it a way of life, even after COVID. Just begin to live our lives in a very decent and safe way, because COVID is not the only virus that is around. It's just that it has its own unique nature that is scary and that is worrisome, and that's why we are singing Song of God. Otherwise, there are thousands and thousands of viruses and bacteria, out there to worry about.
Yeah, let's come to the rest.
And by the way, so sorry, quickly, the human nature as made by God is awesome, awesome. We take in so much, our immune systems fight so much, we don't even know it. And so we may also begin to look at the ways to improve our
immunity. Now the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
The restroom is one sensitive area.
Yes, yes.
As I said, I've not been able to fly. I don't know what will be the modalities in the restroom, because one, you're going to touch the knob to open it. You are going to do some activities around that area. I don't know whether it's going to come out disinfecting itself immediately, or like what you said, sucking up whatever it is around that area, or whatever. It's one place I don't know. I feel it's
no, restroom is
quite
not as
delicate.
Bad. No, it's not as bad as. That's why I sometimes wonder and marvel at our attitude as a people. If you see the great job that is being done at the restroom now, you don't touch anything. The water is automatic.
I mean the restroom inside the plane.
Oh, okay. Inside the plane, yes, it's still challenging. However, I can tell you that if we make a case of this, the airlines, it's easy to install the ones you don't need to touch. It's easy. It's whatever you can do on ground can be done in the airplane. It's the same technology. It doesn't need. It's just about installing the sensors that would feel that human hand has come close to it. Then it dispenses water to you. You wash your hands, and then you go to that of the soap before you get to the water. You get to the soap. The same sensor senses that the human hand is there. It dispenses soap for a few seconds, 1 or 2 seconds, and then you get the volume of soap you require. Do the same. These can all be done.
What about the check? I went to one office, and I was so shocked that I just put my face very close to the machine, and it just took my temperature. I did not touch anything. As I was just putting my face, the disinfecting box just brought out like vapor all around, and it was so beautiful.
Oh yeah,
it was so beautiful.
Technology is there.
So you don't touch anything. You just put your face through. It tells you your temperature. It asks you to just go back a little. You are too close to the machine. This is your temperature. It announces it to you, and the next thing you just found.
What's painful about it, and what really hurts me very deeply about our attitude in this part of the world, and especially in a wealthy country as that of Nigeria, is that these technologies are not new. They've always been there, all over the world. The technologies have always been there, including the toilets that that flush automatically. You don't have to push anything. You don't have to wind anything. As soon as you get up, it flushes because there's a sensor watching you. And you know, once you make the move of getting out of the place, the sensor triggers. It's always been there for ages. It's just that something is just damn wrong with our mentality. It's not about money. I've already said it to anyone that listens to me. We've got enough money to live the best life we can live as a nation. But we have attitude in high places. And sometimes in the past, before Corona, brought us to our senses, I remember sometimes I would be conversing with senior officers, especially at the airports, in the days that I hadn't come public with my passion, for the aviation sector. And I would say, hey, can't we have this? Can't we have that? And they smile and say, oh, God, that's the one that we have at the moment. It's not possible. And then the next thing, you hear somebody, mute under his breath, Oyibo Pepe.
that's racism. Yeah, that's very annoying.
They profile you immediately.
They even call you yellow sometimes.
Oyibo Pepe. He's come here to tell us how to live like Americans and how to live like British people and the rest of them. It's right there in the head. Our thought process. If Corona hadn't threatened our lives, all the job has been done in the airport, somebody will say to you, oh, sorry, no money in the budget to do it. But the money can be spent, running all over the world and engaging in wasteful, activities. It's just right here. We just have to change the way we think and behave. And we can get everything done. For goodness sake, look at Dubai, a desert. See what is being turned into by just two brothers who have been leading them. Can you take a cue from there?
About Singapore?
Singapore. For goodness sake, I am hoping, that's why, remember how we came to this point we are discussing right now, is the issue of sustainability. We can sustain this for all time and make it, and then have a generation of Nigerians.
Are you sure we can? Because somebody went to airport and was saying, the people who were even there, some were saying, just bear with us, Corona will soon end. That means there is a likelihood that the person is hoping for a reversal.
That would be nonsensical.
That just bear with us.
Yeah.
Corona will soon end.
That
statement denotes that there is hope, there is patience and hope for a reversal to what used to be
it's
before.
about leadership. If the leadership of the aviation sector mean to sustain it, they will leave an instruction that it's got to be sustained. If they find anyone going wrong, they show you the way out. By the time one or two individuals lose their jobs, others will sit up and know that the leadership is not up to accepting the nonsensical attitude. And so we can sustain, but it's about leadership. The leadership must ensure that we now begin to bring up a generation of Nigerians that will live life in a better way. I've always said to anyone, it's not about money, Ata. Life or living is an art. And the art of living, money contributes only 40%. The 60% is that style, that art of living well.
Correct.
You can live at every level that you find yourself. And sometimes when I tell people my life history, I remember when I earned very proudly 17 naira every month as a young civil servant in this country. After I did. And before the month ended, 30 naira was good enough to see me through the end. I had savings of 40, and life was going on so beautifully. Each time I reminisce on those days, after I had fun as a young man who left school quite early, and then I used to be the youngest. It's on record, and nobody can remove it. I used to be the youngest land surveyor in the Ministry of Works. I used to be the youngest land officer when after doing my land surveying studies, and then went back to school and read estate management, and then got back to my job in the ministry. Of course, I got transferred from survey department to lands. By 1985, I was the federal land officer in Plateau State and the youngest in the whole country. True. It's on record. Nobody can remove it. And a whole lot of people don't know this bit of my
What we know about is aviation.
Yes,
Aviation.
a lot of people.
Aviation and aviation.
A lot of people don't know this bit of.
I'm hearing that for the first time.
Oh, right.
We've known for years. I'm hearing that for the very first time today.
So what am I trying to say to you, Atta? It's about the art of living. You can live well at every level of your life. The way when a billionaire is looking for 1 billion to solve a problem today, a guy earning a couple of thousands should be looking for 1,000 naira to spend for the same day. And those that are making a couple of millions will be looking for 1 million to spend for the day. And life goes on. It doesn't make any change anywhere. At every level, you can live well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, now you have your passion had fired in. You've gone back to V1 speed fully, and you said for the. But thank God I'm knowing that about you today. I've only seen you as a private sector person, an aviation person, but I never knew that you had had time with the Minister of Works.
Oh yes, and, the youngest in the entire nation of Nigeria.
I'm hearing that today, and I think.
And as a matter of fact, sometimes I tease those from Benue State, as I keep telling them, you people owe me royalties. Atta, truth of the matter. By this story is important for the young ones who are watching to understand that life is beautiful and they can live it well at every level. Yeah. By 1978, I had gotten my 78. I had gotten my diploma in land surveying, and I was already posted to Makode, where they call the North Bank, where we had the survey department. Anytime any Benue individual surveys his piece of land and ties it to government beacon, I was one of those that installed them in between 1978 and 79. All the government beacons, the whole hills you have, the Degunduse Hill, the Nka Hill, the Aguilar Hill, all those total hills you have in Benue State, I climbed them with my feet. To the peak.
No, then you are a lot younger.
No, yes, to the peak.
Yeah, but now
these days they do them with helicopters these days. No, but we climbed on our feet.
No, but now you are now you need to rest.
We have primary beacons. We have primary beacons on those hills. They are still there up until this moment I'm talking to you. So when they survey their land, tie their survey to government beacon available in the place, I was one of those who installed them in 1978. Okay. So they owe me royalties. The governor must hear this and pay.
Okay. I will leave that. John Tenner is hearing that here. John Tenner is hearing that, and I hope that John Tenner, those guys from Benue.
And so let's not lose focus. The whole idea is letting the young people out there watching that at every level of your life you can live well.
Okay,
you don't have to be a billionaire to be happy.
Thank you very much, Mr. GODDY NIK. Thank you. We spent time very much here, and let's ensure what that is saying. Let me put it in just one sentence. Let's ensure we sustain all the health protocols and what we've installed in our airports during the period of COVID-19. All what we are imbibing now, we must sustain it going forward. Continuity is key. That's what it's saying. Yes. Don't just do something and tomorrow morning you're washing your hands off it and you're returning back to Egypt. That will not be appropriate. Thanks for coming. Have a pleasant,
you too.
A wonderful, the best of the day. I thank God the rain is off and the sun is coming out now this morning. We'll take a break. When we come back on the break, I think we will be discussing non-violence in politics, considering what happened during the weekend. After this break.